Hi everyone, this is Dr. Chhoda with an important episode of Ignition Time, and I'm here to talk to you about the lapse of the $600 unemployment booster. Yes, you heard that right. It's very likely that the $600 federal unemployment booster is actually going to lapse, and then it looks like it's going to get reinstated once the House and the Senate pass a bill that gets signed into law by the president. Now, before I go further, the name of my channel is Ignition Time. If you want to subscribe to breaking news and alerts directly from our channel, you can either text the word ignition or text the word time, because again, my channel is Ignition Time. So text the word ignition or text the word time to 70,000. So again, you can text the word ignition or time to 70000. Thank you so much for watching. Let me jump right into the content. So in this video, I'm going to talk about two things. One, why you should prepare for a temporary lapse in the $600 per week unemployment benefit. It's very important that you prepare for a short period. Hopefully it's no longer than a week without the $600 a week federal booster. And number two, I'll talk about the framework for future unemployment benefits. We're going to go over comments from important leaders, from important administration officials that'll give you a hint of what's likely to come with the future of unemployment benefits. So let's start about why you should prepare for a lapse in the unemployment, in the $600 a week unemployment booster. Now, the initial $600 that was set up with the CARES Act was seen as the fastest way to get funds to individuals who needed it the most. And at that time, lawmakers had concerns about an outdated system with the state governments. So they figured instead of trying to customize the benefits, let's just keep it simple. Let's get the money quickly to individuals who need it the most so that the economy keeps going, so that individuals can get the help that they need. Basically, their fear was the state unemployment systems, the computer networks, the staff would be unable to handle something that was targeted and customized because they were basically outdated. And therefore, a flat $600 was implemented. In fact, the US Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin specifically talked about that, and we'll get over to him in just a second. Now, I also want to talk to you about the framework of future unemployment benefits. We'll be looking at comments from the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, from President Trump, from Senator Chuck Schumer from New York, from the US Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin, from Senator Chuck Grassley, who's an Iowa Republican who chairs the Senate Finance Committee, and also from Senator Mitt Romney, the Republican from Utah. According to a recent article on ABC News that you see on your screen here, Republicans are torn on how to address expiring unemployment benefits. The Senate GOP has signaled that the $600 benefits are not likely to continue. Now, I will link you to this article in the description below so you can go ahead and check it out for yourself. But now I want to analyze three specific comments from the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, from Chuck Schumer, the Democratic Senator from New York, and from the US Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin. Let's take a closer look at what the Senate Majority Leader said. And I've learned in my life that sometimes it's important not just to pay attention to what is said, but also what is not said. You'll notice that in this clip, the Senate Majority Leader clearly has a priority, which is liability protection for businesses. And he has not specifically talked about the $600 per week unemployment booster extension. He has talked about a back to work bonus. So you'll see that as far as the Senate Majority Leader is concerned, the focus is on getting individuals back to work safely, which makes sense, and also to make sure that there's liability protection for businesses. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Senate Majority Leader's comments.
Been discussing with the administration over the last 2 weeks with our members, and if you're looking for a theme here, think liability protection for those who've been trying to deal with the pandemic. We don't need an epidemic of lawsuits on the heels of the pandemic we're already struggling with. Kids in school, jobs, and healthcare would be the theme of the proposal that we hope to come together and present to our Republicans. And then, as the Secretary of the Treasury indicated, obviously you can't pass the bill in the Senate without the Democrats, and we'll begin to talk to them as well.
Now, as you can see, that was the opinion of the Senate Majority Leader. Now, let's listen to the opinion of the Senate Minority Leader, Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer from New York. And it's very clear that Senator Schumer wants an extension to the unemployment benefits. In fact, the Democrats proposed the HEROES Act, which proposed the extension of the $600 a week federal booster all the way through next year. Let's listen to what Senator Chuck Schumer had to say.
What happens is millions of people go into poverty. Every expert has said that the pandemic unemployment insurance, which I proposed with Senator Wyden. The Republicans had resisted, but thank God it's in the bill. It's kept millions of people able to feed their families, pay their mortgage, pay their rent, people who lost their jobs through no fault of their own. It runs out the end of this month, and if we don't renew it and renew it in a robust way, millions more will sink back into poverty, lose their homes, get kicked out of their apartments, and not be able to feed their families. So it makes no sense to cut back at a time when we have over 20 million unemployed, and we have the greatest economic crisis since the Great Depression. To cut back on unemployment insurance makes no sense whatsoever, and that's what they're proposing. And then one of their proposals says, well, we'll pay people to go back to work. Well, the people who are going back to work are getting a salary. It's the people who can't get back to work who we need to help.
And now let's listen to what the U.S. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin had to say when he was specifically asked about the $600 a week federal booster.
As it relates to the enhanced unemployment, we've been very clear. We knew there was a problem with enhanced unemployment and that certain cases people were paid more than they made in their jobs. That was a technical fix. We were in emergency. We went along with that. We're going to fix that technical fix. We're going to make sure that people are incented to go back to jobs. I've heard stories of where companies are trying to get people back to work and they won't come because of the enhanced unemployment. But we'll fix that, and we'll figure out an extension to it that works for companies and works for those people who will still be unemployed.
There's actually a study in the last day that shows that 2/3 of workers that were laid off are now receiving more than their prior earnings because of those expanded benefits. So will the technical fix be a cap on those benefits at 100% of whatever that worker was making before?
You can assume that it'll be no more than 100%. So yes, we want to incent people to go back to work. And even at 100%, if people have jobs, we want them to go back to work. So enhanced unemployment is intended for people who don't have jobs, and particularly industries that are harder to rebound. So we will not be doing it in the same way. And we're in a dramatically different situation. Many businesses are open. Many businesses want to hire more people today.
As you can tell, the Treasury Secretary wanted to put a cap, a limit, a threshold on the unemployment benefits so that an individual doesn't get more money than what they were getting if they were normally working. In fact, he specifically said it's not going to exceed 100% of that threshold. So again, if an individual, let's say, was making $3,000 a month with unemployment benefits, they wouldn't be able to make more than that. Now, there are two schools of thought about that. Some would argue that if you're getting as much money as you made prior to losing your job, so let's say you made $3,000 a month, and now with unemployment benefits you're getting up to $3,000 a month, there's nothing wrong with that. You're doing well. Some would argue that the $600 a week federal booster is absolutely necessary because you lost your job and you lost other opportunities to grow in your job. So there are two schools of thought about this, but it's very clear that Republican leaders have talked about and want to implement a cap, a limit, a threshold in the unemployment benefits when they are actually reinstated. Speaking of the reinstatement of the $600 a week federal FPUC booster, here's a comment from the US Department of Labor. They said the federal pandemic unemployment compensation of $600 can be paid for weeks ending no later than the week ending prior to February, which is July 31st, 2020. They also added for all states except New York, that is Saturday, July 25th. New York's end date is Sunday, July 26th. Now, there is a massive economic recovery package in the works right now, and I have covered that elsewhere on my channel, so you definitely want to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed already, and please enable notifications so you get instant updates from my channel. But basically, the focus of this economic recovery package will be funding for schools, testing, liability protection, expansions to the small business paycheck protection program, and a second stimulus check, direct payments to Americans. I've covered this elsewhere on my channel as well. Now, the thing though is that at this moment in time, Republicans are far from united on an overall package, let alone the $600 a week unemployment benefits. So it's quite likely that there's going to be a lapse in the $600 a week unemployment benefits. And when the unemployment benefits come back, it's likely that that's going to be less than the $600 a week, subject to a cap or a threshold. You heard it from the US Treasury Secretary. In fact, when the Senate Majority Leader was specifically asked if a bill could be passed by the end of next week, in other words, the week ending July 31st, McConnell scoffed and said no. Now, President Trump is in favor of an extension of unemployment benefits. When he was asked about the amount of enhanced unemployment benefits, he said he would be okay if the next round of stimulus legislation from Congress included unemployment benefits. And he specifically said they're thinking about doing 70% of the amount. The amount would be the same, but doing it a little bit smaller initial amounts so that people are going to want to go back to work. So as you can see, there's a consistent statement coming out from the administration from various officials. And the president also said, as opposed to making so much money that they really don't have to. Now, here's a comment from Senator Grassley, an Iowa Republican, and he chairs the Senate Finance Committee. He has for weeks argued that while the unemployment benefit cannot simply drop off, it should also not serve as an unfair competitor to business owners who are looking to hire back employees. In fact, he specifically said, I think we're going to have to find the compromise between those who want to cut it off completely, but we can't go to $600 for another 6 months. That's what Senator Grassley told ABC News on Monday. And Senator Mitt Romney, who's a Republican from Utah, said that he supports an extension of the program, the unemployment benefits program, but he argued that there needed to be some scaling back of the program. He said, we certainly need to continue to help people with unemployment provisions. But he said the number would be far lower than $600. Now, this is where things get really interesting because it's not going to be possible to customize those benefits based on an individual's salary or based on an individual's income because, like I mentioned at the start of this video, there are limitations in the state computer systems, in the state technological infrastructure. Now, according to ABC News, 2 Republican aides involved in the talks have actually said that there have been ongoing negotiations about a possible reduction to $400 a week, but the details of any final product remained unclear. Now, some members of the Republican Party have suggested tying the unemployment benefit to an individual's income, but like I mentioned before, logistically, technologically, that's going to be a challenge. So, in fact, what Romney said on Tuesday was that he believes that there will have to be some sort of a flat rate because of these technical challenges. And it's very clear that this rate is unlikely to be $600 a week. So based on what I've been reviewing, based on the information that I've been getting from some of my sources, it looks like there's going to be a lapse in the extension of the $600 a week unemployment benefits, and that will be followed by somewhere in the range of $400 a week. Again, we don't know for sure, but we'll find out very soon. Now, the interesting thing is, even with the current flat payment of $600 a week, many states have been severely backlogged. I know many of my viewers, many of my subscribers who've said that they haven't received the $600 a week payment. So despite the simplicity of the $600 a week payment to unemployed individuals, states are still backlogged and states are still not able to keep up with the demand. So the question arises, how are they going to be able to keep up with something that's even more complex, that's going to require a customization of each individual person's enhanced unemployment benefits once the new bill is passed? It looks like that's going to be very difficult. Now, I've talked about Senator Rob Portman, who's a Republican from Ohio, elsewhere on this channel. He's the one who suggested a back to work bonus. He had an interesting idea about tying the next unemployment booster to an individual's income. So what he said was, you can tie it to the individual. There's a way to do it as a percentage of the actual unemployment that they're paying, which is based on their wages. Now, according to Portman, states would be able to produce payments using this method, since the states would rely on data that they collect from individuals filing for unemployment and internal formulas that they use based on the data that they have for that particular employee that they use to calculate the state benefits. So based on the data that they use to calculate either the minimum or the maximum benefit, they would then use that data to customize an additional booster from the federal government. Now, it sounds to me that this is going to be a technical challenge to the states, but again, that's what Senator Rob Portman has suggested. Democrats, of course, want to be able to provide a maximum number of benefits. As you can see, you heard from Senator Chuck Schumer at the start of this video. We'll have to wait and see what the House and the Senate come up with, and I expect us to find out in a few days. I hope you learned something new. Thank you so much for watching. My goal with this video was to help prepare my viewers and subscribers for the upcoming lapse in the $600 a week unemployment benefits, and also be prepared that when the unemployment booster comes back into effect, it's going to be less than the $600 a week, probably tied to your income or tied to your wages, data that the state already has. That's what it's looking like. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new. If you would like to get breaking news and alerts from me, please text the word ignition, or you can text the word time if it's easier for you, because my channel is Ignition Time. So again, text the word ignition or text the word time to 70,000. That's 70000, and you'll get breaking news and alerts from me, and you can unsubscribe at any time. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something new, please click like below. Please click subscribe so that you get notifications, and please enable the notifications icon so you get instant updates from me about important alerts like this going forward. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.